What if I tell you that while India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, it is also one of the most economically unequal countries? Yes, the latest World Inequality Report of 2022, which was released on December 8, confirms that India is among the most unequal countries in the world, with rising poverty and an affluent elite. It also states that half of India is so poor that it owns almost nothing. In this video, we'll try and understand the rich-poor gap in India, some of the key findings from the latest report, and what it means for us. Deemed to be one of the most reliable reports of global inequalities, the World Inequality Report of 2022 is authored by economist and co-director of the World Inequality Lab, Lucas Chancel, along with economists from across the world. But why should it matter so much to us in India? Well, precisely because of some of the numbers that this report gives us. The report says that the top 1% of India's population earned more than 21% of the country's total national income in 2021. The top 10% of the population owned as much as 57% of the country's national income, leaving the bottom 50% population with just 13% of the money. Let's put this in context. The middle class is relatively poor with an average wealth of around 7 lakh rupees. In contrast, the average wealth of the top 10% is somewhere around 63 lakh rupees, and that of top 1% is more than 3 crore rupees. The average annual national income of the Indian adult population is rupees 2,04,200 in 2021. The bottom 50% earned about 53,000, and while the top 10% earned over 20 times more, that is almost 11 lakh rupees. The top 1% of Indians now own 33% of the country's wealth compared to 31.7% in the previous year. The top 10% owned 64.6% of the country's wealth, up from 63.9%. The share of the bottom 50% now stands at 5.9%, down from 6% in the previous year. The report further goes on to state that globally the richest 10% own 76% of all the wealth, and the poorest half of the population owns 2% of all the wealth. Interestingly, the share of wealth in the bottom 50% increased when India was removed from the analysis, suggesting that inequality in India alone has a significant impact on global figures. In economic terms, wealth refers to the total value in terms of the possessions and money that a person or family owns. And income refers to the money earned by individuals on a regular basis. But how is a country's inequality even calculated? The aim of the report is to collate the most recent, publicly available inequality data from around the world. The report combines different data sources: national accounts, survey data, fiscal data, and wealth rankings. While GDP is commonly used to compare levels of economic welfare across countries, the authors of the report state that it is not satisfactory. Hence, the report uses the concept of national income, which is the total amount of money earned within a country. But what could have been the reason behind the increasing inequality in India, especially this year? Has it got anything to do with the pandemic? Well, the report does acknowledge that COVID-19 has deepened the divide between the rich and the poor. However, it makes it very clear that the world has long been unequal. The report categorically mentions that since the mid-1980s, deregulation and liberalization policies have led to one of the most extreme increases in income and wealth inequality observed in the world. And then it adds something worth pondering upon. It reads that while the top 1% has largely benefited from economic reforms, growth among low and middle income groups has been relatively slow and poverty still persists. In fact, the data on gender inequality is worrying too. The report says that gender inequalities in India are high too. The female labor income share is equal to 18%. This is significantly lower than the average in Asia, that is 21%. And this value is one of the lowest in the world, slightly higher than the average share in the Middle East, that is 15%, only signaling that women in India earn significantly less than their peers in other parts of Asia.